Freedom is humanity's deepest aspiration. But are we truly free or just conditioned beings acting out scripts? Welcome to the Neurokrish immersion. In this Journey to Spiritual Freedom episode, we explore Osho, freedom through totality and awareness. What is spiritual freedom? Freedom has always been humanity's deepest aspiration. We frame in this episode spiritual freedom not as escape from life, but as wholeness, a conscious way of being that integrates both inner and outer realities. This is the first in our multi-part Neurokrish immersion series, where we will explore how great teachers have envisioned freedom. We begin with a modern mystic who dared to challenge everything. Spiritual freedom is a universal quest. From the Buddha's liberation from suffering, to the mystic's union with God, to modern calls for authenticity. Osho framed freedom as the ability to live without fear, guilt, or conditioning. He reminded us that freedom is not given by society, but cultivated within. This raises the question, are we free or merely conditioned beings acting out scripts? Indeed, spiritual freedom transcends cultures and centuries. In Buddhist liberation, it's freedom from the cycle of suffering through awareness and compassion. In mystical union, like in the Bhakti movement, it's the soul's direct experience of divine love and oneness. In modern, authentic living, we are asked to drop masks and live life as our true selves. So I ask you, are you free or are you simply conditioned? Osho framed freedom as the ability to live without fear, guilt, or conditioning. He asked the profound question, are we truly free? The answer may challenge everything you believe about choice and autonomy, and hence we review him in this episode. Osho was not just another guru. He was a mystic and a rebel who challenged conventions, inviting people to drop masks and live in awareness. To his followers, Osho was a beacon of clarity. To his critics, he was controversial, and he remains so to this day. But his teaching of freedom remains compelling. Freedoms through awareness, love, and playfulness. He dared to speak truths that made both religious and secular authorities uncomfortable. Born Rajneesh Chandra Mohan Jain in 1931, later simply known as Osho, he became one of the most influential spiritual teachers of the 20th century. His Pune ashram attracted seekers from all over the world. His life, masked by intense creativity, controversy, exile, and return, mirrors the paradox of freedom itself, both celebrated and feared. He was born in rural India in 1931, and even early on in his life showed signs of spiritual questioning. It was in the 1970s that he established his Pune ashram and immediately attracted thousands of Western seekers. He moved to Oregon in the US in the 1980s and created a controversial commune that challenged American values. And in 1990, he died after a life marked by intense creativity, controversy, but unwavering commitment to freedom. Indeed, if you're interested in what happened in Oregon, do watch Wild Wild Country on Netflix. Very, very absorbing. Now, Osho's core philosophy was live totally with awareness, and the heart of his teaching was a very simple idea, a deceptively simple idea that revolutionizes how we approach life itself. Osho brought it down to the dance of totality and awareness. Whatever you do, laugh, cry, dance, meditate, do it fully without holding back. But totality must be paired with awareness. This creates a dynamic tension that transforms ordinary experience into spiritual practice. In his teaching, without awareness, totality becomes mere indulgence, losing its transformative power. Without totality, awareness becomes dry repression, cutting us off from life's richness. Whatsoever you do it totally, said Osho. Osho gave us the revolutionary archetype of Zorba the Buddha, a being who integrates earthly joy with spiritual awareness. This integration addresses the false divide between material and spiritual life that has plagued humanity for millennia, was his take. In Osho's concept, Zorba the Greek was unashamed joy in life. Food, dance, wine, and sensuality were what he celebrated. Celebration of the body was what he engaged in, and passionate engagement was what he was all about. He contrasted this with the Buddha: silence and inner peace, awareness and meditation, transcendence of ego, and spiritual awakening. For Osho, Zorba represented the earthy, materialistic, and sensuous foundation of life. Zorba loves, sings, and dances with total intensity, fully living in the movement. He, however, noted that the author of Zorba the Greek, Nikos Kazantzakis, created Zorba as a fictional character to express the unlived, repressed part of his own personality. Kazantzakis was an intellectual who was hounded by the church and could not live the free-spirited life he portrayed in his book. While Osho praised Zorba for his vibrant, alive qualities, he saw him as lacking a deeper dimension. Zorba lives a full outer life, but never ventures inward to discover the true meaning of existence, the deathlessness of life, or the center of the cyclone. He described Zorba as a beautiful but incomplete man. In Osho's teaching, therefore, Zorba was half, Buddha was half. Together, they made a whole human being. He contended that modern humanity needed both. Zorba without Buddha is shallow and pleasure-seeking. Buddha without Zorba is life-denying escapism, he said. Together, they create the integrated being Osho envisioned as the future of human consciousness. Osho reinterpreted Tantra not as indulgence but as a profound science of awareness. Unlike paths that reject the body and desires, Tantra accepts life as it is: body, desire, love, even fear, and it transforms it through mindfulness. For Osho, Tantra was the most revolutionary spiritual path because it doesn't ask you to become someone else. It accepts you completely, and then, through that very acceptance, transformation happens naturally. Osho was quoted as saying, "Tantra accepts you as you are and transforms you." Osho's masterpiece, The Book of Secrets, is a 1,000-page commentary on the ancient Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, offering 112 meditation techniques. His genius lay in showing how these esoteric practices could be applied to modern daily life. It brings to you practical methods for eating, walking, listening, loving with awareness, and it turns ordinary activities into doorways to spiritual freedom. Osho therefore made the profound accessible. He taught that meditation is not separate from daily activity. It is the quality of awareness that you bring to each moment. Brushing your teeth, drinking your tea, walking, listening, all become opportunities for presence. Walking meditation, for example, is when you feel your feet touching the earth with each step. Eating meditation is when you taste, smell, and chew with complete attention. Listening meditation is when you're being fully present to sounds without judgment. Breathing meditation is when you watch the natural rhythm of breath throughout the day. Meditation is not a technique you do for 20 minutes in this philosophy. It's a way of being present that transforms ordinary life into sacred experience. Unlike many solemn spiritual traditions, Osho celebrated love, laughter, and play as profound spiritual practices. He often said that seriousness is a disease of the ego, while playfulness is the fragrance of freedom. Love, he said, was not an attachment, but overflowing of joy that connects us to all existence. Laughter is the medicine that dissolves ego and creates space for the sacred. Play is to approach life with wonder and spontaneity, free from heavy expectations. Osho invited seekers to live joyfully, to laugh, sing, and dance as acts of meditation. Joy, he taught, is not frivolity, but the natural state of an awakened being. In his point, we live under layers of conditioning, social expectations, moral judgments, cultural programming, religious doctrine. Osho taught that true freedom begins when we recognize and drop these borrowed masks. To live authentically means peeling away everything that was imposed upon us and rediscovering the raw, innocent self that existed before society shaped us. This process of deconditioning is both terrifying and liberating to most of us. It requires courage to face who you really are beneath all the roles you have learned to play. Deconditioning, however, is not rebellion for its own sake, but a return to your authentic nature. Osho said, the real question is not whether life exists after death. The real question is whether you're alive before death. And this provocative question cuts to the heart of spiritual urgency. Most people sleepwalk through life, postponing aliveness until some future moment that never comes. Osho calls us to wake up now, in this moment, to the life we are actually living. For Osho, meditating on death was essential spiritual practice. By facing mortality without fear, we dissolve the grip of the ego and its endless anxieties about the future. He guided his disciples into practices of visualizing their own death, not morbidly, but as a way to appreciate the preciousness of each moment. When we truly accept death, we become free to live fully. Death, embraced with awareness, reveals itself not as an enemy, but as the ultimate teacher of presence and freedom. Now let's look at some freedom portraits. Take Nataraja, Shiva in his cosmic dance. We see here freedom as dance. The circle of fire represents transformation. The dance itself is energy in motion. To dance like Nataraja is to live free from fear, flowing with the rhythm of existence. It is liberation embodied in art and movement. Here's another freedom portrait. Pure love as spiritual freedom. Rabi al-Adawiya, the Sufi mystic, embodied freedom through love. She prayed not for paradise or out of fear of hell, but for pure love of God. Her devotion was radical, unconditioned by reward or punishment. In her, we see freedom as love without fear. Let's take Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna learns freedom as action without attachment, to do one's duty with awareness but without clinging to outcomes, is to act in freedom. This teaching of Krishna to Arjuna mirrors Osho's call for totality without detachments. And these are certain freedom portraits in history that have embodied different aspects of spiritual freedom. Osho drew inspiration from these archetypal examples, showing how freedom manifests across traditions and cultures. Pause and ask yourself, What does freedom mean in your life? Is it escape from responsibility or presence within it? How do you balance Zorba and Buddha in your daily living? What does freedom mean to you? Where in your life are you acting from conditioning rather than authentic choice? What would it look like to bring more totality and awareness to your daily activities? Freedom, therefore, is not a distant goal. It's a way of being lived moment by moment, to be present, aware, joyful, and unconditioned. This is spiritual freedom. And this, Osho reminds us, is available to each of us right now. Osho's vision of the new human, Zorba and Buddha in one, reminds us that freedom is not out there, it's here in this moment. Meditation is freedom, freedom to live here and now. The new human is neither repressed nor indulgent, but free and whole. They live without ancient splits between sacred and secular, spiritual and material, serious and playful. And with this, we come to the end of the first episode on Journey to Spiritual Freedom, one that has looked at Osho and his view of Zorba the Buddha. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe, like and share. We are on Apple, YouTube and Spotify. Thank you for listening.